after the arrival to some airport during the transit in the hotel, in the airport hotel, in the night time with all the jet lags and all, doing like a set of 200 push-ups, and all that. Well, that was the necessity, to work out different sort of blocks. Some of them are the emergency kits also.
Okay.
For different situations. Like a mini package of exercise, or a specific concept. Okay, how do you deal with the food, with the nutrition?
How do you get enough, right? Because your body is
not that. How do you just depending on the purpose, right? And if you are limited in something, or if you're a frequent traveler, what can you do in terms of how can you work out to develop your own keto if you're on keto diet or the low carb diet, or how can you produce the intermittent fasting? And especially I've worked that out while traveling, in different time zones, which is a very interesting and very useful thing, especially I believe after the pandemic will be over and people will get back to normal life. That might be useful as well. But coming back to the story, it's that I was so obsessed with that, with trying to be enhanced, that when the aging has started, I have totally missed that moment. And I've, to a large extent, I have missed a transition, which took several years. And I was still going to gym as before. I was into some other sports, I picked up squash that time, which are other passion.
Okay.
And still it didn't work, because I was gradually increasing weight. And then, not to say that I was on a very specific diet, but I was not eating junk, it was normal, balanced diet.
I think you were also almost calorie counting. You were like...
Well, that came in a later part. That is definitely ideal. If you ask me what is the ideal way to eat, the answer is very simple. It's a purposeful nutrition. Purposeful nutrition, okay? To have a purposeful nutrition, like everything in life, you want to have a meaningful life, so you have a meaningful, purposeful nutrition as well. So you need to know your requirement, how many calories you need, and what's the breakdown, the macros and all.
But for that to happen, I think the key word that would come to most people's minds is self-discipline, right? Because I think by default, most of us enjoy eating, regardless of which culture you're from. And
that's without doubt. That's without doubt. But that all is also modifiable.
Okay.
You can create fantastic recipes and have very extensive cookbook. As long as you have, of course, I love my food as much.
Okay.
More interesting than not my food.
Okay, good to know, because I think what puts most people off, from going on calorie restrictive diets or intermittent fasting or
you don't have to restrict yourself, you just have to calculate. You do not have to put restrictions on yourself, you just have to do, you have to plan out what you have to do, or what you are going to do.
Like you can draw up your whole meal plan for the whole week, right? And you can vary it, like today you have this, tomorrow
you don't have to even paste it on the wall, it does not have to be necessarily on your fridge with the fridge magnet. No, you just decide a plan, you have a plan. And that's it, it's pretty much easy. And then prepare yourself according to that plan, and that's it.
Because the last round, when people think about healthy eating again, it's always about not just bland food, but very much staple food, like it's always chicken breast, it's always boiled carrots and broccoli, it's always the very kind of food
that is the ideal variant. Okay, ideal. If you ask me, jokes apart, if you ask me how often do I eat boneless or chicken breast, every day. How often do I eat broccoli? Every day.
And you don't get bored?
No, I don't get bored. Are there any other ingredients that I also eat? Yes, plenty. Plenty, but brown rice and raw broccoli and chicken breast. Yeah, have to. Why not? What's wrong with that?
Or can it be replaced, I don't know, with eggs or something? So
I do eat eggs.
Alternative source of
I do
proteins.
eat eggs.
Okay.
And I do eat salmon.
Mm.
And I do eat tuna.
Okay. So there is some variety, right? It's not just
Huge variety.
chicken
More
breast
than
every
you can
day.
eat. More than you can.
Okay. Good to know.
More than your variety.
Good to know.
Definitely more than your variety.
Okay.
Definitely better, because I can see the amount of the Himalaya salt, for instance, that I put there, and not the Ajinomoto that cook or chef in the restaurant puts.
The MSG type, right? Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I was also, sort of thinking about when I was researching your areas of passion and expertise was on the issue of andropause, which you just discussed a while back. So, like for example, menopause, right, is something which is very visible, right? Like when a woman's monthly cycle stops, you start seeing the signs of aging setting in, when either through wrinkles or hair loss and all of that. So for men, I think andropause is something which most men, number one, do not want to acknowledge. They like to think that I can still have children up to 80 years old, as long as I'm still virile and my testicles are still producing sperm.
Well, having children and having andropause is definitely not the same. I don't think that they should be put on the same level. It's totally two different things.
Okay.
When we talk about andropause, it's so many things involved in this. Well, yes, definitely there's a component of erectile function or sexual function, which also is quite subjective, right? It's quite subjective. Secondly, there is a component of general health and longevity, and that I think is more important.
Okay.
So the correlation between the testosterone level and how long you're gonna live, or what are the chances or the risks of you developing atherosclerosis, ischemic heart disease, it matters. And statistically it is significant. It has been calculated, it has been counted on a large number, clinical trials produced and published. Okay, so only the lazy person wouldn't know about it. So go and read.
Okay.
Especially to doctors, just go and read. Apart from that, the correlation and the influence of, say for males, of a testosterone level in correlation with the estrogen level is very important. There's a specific ratio. There's a specific mechanism how one hormone is converting into another. So, and there's a specific location for that, and there's a specific ratio, which to a large extent is very much misunderstood even by a medical community. And there's a bunch of anti-aging doctors who unnecessarily reduce or suppress some of the hormones in males, like the estradiol, for instance, unnecessarily to a very low levels, thinking that that is the way how you sort of will increase the value or the potency of whatever testosterone the person has. It's all sorts of ridiculous stuff. That I have observed while traveling and seeing many countries. In many countries, this approach is there, and there are actually sort of institutions or the organizations, different courses and all that actually teach that stuff. So it will take some time to get the information, to change people's opinion, to provide sufficient data and convince the majority that in otherwise.
And actually that's a very good point as well, because I think, again, speaking just from the Asian perspective, a lot of times when people talk about male sexual performance, there's always some kind of, I wouldn't say a stigma, but some kind of an expectation attached to it. Like, if a male can perform at a certain age, that's great. If he cannot perform, at a very young age, then it's bad for him. And so a lot of times people would turn to a lot of quick fix methodologies. So like, if they go down the herbal path, like using Tongkat Ali and stuff like that, that would be fine because it's still quite herbal based. But most of them would probably go into other stuff, like probably more synthetic, if I may.
On one hand, it's people who have achieved something.
Yes.
right? It's either you have achieved on while doing something on yourself, improved yourself, or you have created something extraordinary. To whatever extent it is. Creativity, novelty, yeah, that's what.
Innovation.
And enhancement, innovation, right. And a second driver was just because I was extremely not happy what I see in the mirror.
So it's a personal drive.
Yeah, it's personal. I was looking at that, it's horrible.
Okay.
Dude, you're scary, I'm not happy with that. So sort of, I don't know, you can call it like an element of self-punishment, something like that. Like, not to say self-punishment, but like
discipline.
Mentoring. I always have, and even now, and always had, I have that little coach in my head.
Okay.
Sometimes that little coach becomes very, very vocal.
Okay.
So that he can like scream at you sometimes, at me. Like, come on, you do this and do that. You can use some bad words, in different languages, just to stimulate. And,
okay. But it works for you, right?
Well, yeah, it works for me. So I have that little coach.
Okay.
Very nasty, ugly guy.
I imagine it's like, the comic strips, right? The good angel on your left.
No, he's not a good angel. He's a big dude, bigger than me, standing in the back and hitting my shoulders, and then
move, do this.
Yeah, and then kicking me and and punching me. Yeah, it's totally not a nice guy. Totally not a nice guy. I try to silence him, as much as possible.
Okay.
Sedate him with food. I don't know, but
food is a good start.
But he's not into that. He's quite a ruthless guy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, well, jokes apart. Yeah, I was not happy.
Okay.
In many terms, so I always had that, I just want to do something, I want to do something better.
On yourself?
Yes,
okay.
Just like that, just like that. With age or due time, sometimes I began to apply it on other people, but I try not to do it.
Yeah.
So, with that mindset, and having a professional career, which is, and a social life, and a social career, and a family life, which are the priorities.
Correct.
Definitely. But then you have this, which is, if people were to ask me, what's your hobby, I would have answered, it's that. It's enhancement, it's athleticism, it's bodybuilding, it's martial arts, it's something extreme, and self-experimentations.
Okay.
And those self-experimentations were always targeting enhancement. Whatever you do.
Like you have a benchmark and you go higher and
well,
higher.
Yeah. I'm going into this. Okay, this is something that I'm trying now. So, well, how can I improve this sphere or sector of my life? It's like that.
Okay.
And as I said, that in transition towards aging came in a very, very slow, subtle way.
Okay.
And perhaps a couple of things worked as a red flag or is some kind of a bell.
Okay.
The first one, and there is a tip also that I perhaps some people may use that. When you're on a track, when you are doing what you're doing, when you are when you're having a career, when you're having life, and you have certain advancement, and you cross your 30s, and you're still trying to be fit and you exercise, and you're sort of on that track, like you're doing everything that you were doing yesterday or the last week or the last month. That what makes you comfortable, and that what made me comfortable. That was the first wake-up call was when I decided to compete in one of the competitions.
Okay.
Okay. In martial arts. And I started preparing for that just a couple of months in advance. Really. 2 months. Not more than that. And bear in mind that I had a regular training in martial art That
You already had that base.
no, actually that year before that I received the second done.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and I was training regularly, absolutely with a good frequency, absolutely scheduled. I was not missing any training. I was progressing. Everything was getting better.
Okay.
And then I hear about the tournament, and I sign up for that, and I start preparing. So when I started preparation, then I was like, and I was not in a rush, you know. I was like thinking, okay, a couple of months, you know, just
take my time.
Yeah, taking my time. I was thinking a couple of weeks, you know. But then I just realized that, oh my God, I'm not fit, you know. I really overrated myself. It's not the performance, it's not the speed, it's not the reaction, it's no.
But what made you feel that way though?
I'm heavy. The weight and then...
Stamina?
Stamina in a way, but as I said, you know, the stamina is a very subjective thing also. For different people, different. But you see that coach, you know, that I have, even sometimes when I feel that I'm done, you know, I'll still be moving on, you know. So for me, like, to give up, I literally have to die.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why when it's coming to that exertion, I can be unstoppable.
Okay.
You know, so that's not the case. But what freaked me out and what stopped me was pain. Pain in my feet, the plantar fasciitis. Then joints, my both knee joints start aching when I got back to jogging. You know, maybe more intensive jogging in during that preparation. You know, and wow, that was
eye-opener,
and I was like, oh my God, what is that? I never had that before, you know. I had some lower back pain, but I knew that's because of this and that. Since early in the gym, you know, I had some particular joints, you know, because I was hurt. I had a couple of fractures, you know, but that sort of, I knew about it and it was more or less settled. But this was a totally new condition, and then I understood that I'm heavier, you know, and no matter what I do, how I intensify the preparation, still getting heavier, so it's not working.
Okay.
Other components, such as doing the blood work, you see, at that time you do the blood work, everything is perfect, absolutely great.
Okay.
But there were moments when cross 35, when even the blood investigations are not, my blood work was not perfect anymore, you know. So things that others are facing, like the hypercholesterolemia, you know, their imbalance, or the in slightly increased sugar level, you know, the HbA1c start increasing and all that. When I see that happening in my blood work, I was, no way.
Yeah, because I'm exercising, right? I'm being healthy.
How come? Yeah, not me. I'm no risk factors. I'm doing my best. I'm doing the same that I thought that I was doing 10 or 15 years ago. Why now? What's happening?
It's not like you were sedentary, you know, just laying
Yeah,
about.
and then of course other things